A delegation of young talents from the US is in Moscow to learn about Russian political and social life. They're here to find out what the two countries can do for one another. And I'm joined by Richard Portwood, who is head of the delegation, and also you head an NGO, the name of which speaks for itself. It is called
the Center for American-Russian Engagement of Emerging Leaders, or CAREEL.
There we go. Perfect. Richard, it's good to see you in the studio. If you could just tell me about this NGO, its purpose, and what was on the agenda here in Moscow.
Yeah, so the NGO is, as I described, it began last year, and there were a number of us American students who had come here previously to Russia and had a phenomenal experience. And the idea of institutionalizing these exchanges between young Americans and young Russians we recognized the need for it, and with the support of both officials in the US and Russian governments, we decided to start a non-governmental organization to facilitate these.
All right, and what happens? Are these talk shops? Do you hold debates? What does it feel like?
Yeah, so this current delegation is sponsored by Rossotrudnichestvo, and it is part of a presidential decree, which was by President Medvedev at the time, Decree 1394, which brings young American emerging leaders to Russia, and it provides them with unparalleled access and insight into Russian culture, politics, social life, as you described.
These emerging leaders, who are they? Are they students, or are they young professionals? What sort of people are we talking about here, on both sides of the story?
Yeah, so this current delegation, there are 20 of us, young professionals from different spheres, from the public sector, some in the private sector, government, non-governmental organizations as well. I think the average age is about 26.
There we go.
Yeah.
Young indeed. What sort of purpose do you hold?
So the idea is to provide these emerging American leaders the opportunity to see Russia with their own eyes and to form their own perspective, so that someday, when they're 20, 30 years down the road, they're able to make informed decisions when thinking about Russia. And I think it's very powerful.
Sort of breaking up the whole stereotype of the Cold War era, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the idea that it's better to see something once than read about it 1,000 times. Or twice.
Or twice.
Exactly.
Fantastic. What do you, I assume you already do you, though, have any plans for the future? How's this going to develop? Are you going to bring more people in, or have some people from Russia come to the US? Yeah,
so that's the idea. We're working, hopefully, to form a partnership with Rossotrudnichestvo.
You're really good at this. It's a difficult word in Russian.
I've been working on it for a little while. But the idea is to institutionalize this so that we continue to bring young emerging American leaders to Russia, and then we're working with some organizations in the United States to make a circular exchange. And there are some members of this current group who are working on a project that's pretty phenomenal that hopefully in the next coming months we'll be able to share more about.
Is it a secret as of yet?
I don't know that it's much of a secret, but we're just working on some of the details.
Okay.
And there are just so many wonderful opportunities, and it makes a huge impact. And not to be too presumptuous, but I think it can really change the future of U.S.-Russia relations, like this dual-track engagement.
Yeah.
So not just President Putin and President Obama speaking, but that normal citizens are able to understand and learn about one another. And I feel like there has been a disconnect.
I think so. It's nice to be part of it. I mean, and it's weird that in an era with all of us being connected via internet, there's still so much miscommunication happening out there in the world. Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much. Best of luck with if you could just quickly also tell me, what have you been up to this time round?
Yeah, so Rossotrudnichestvo has provided a phenomenal experience for us. We visited Saint Petersburg. We met with the Legislative Assembly there, the Vice Governor, and then we were back here in Moscow and met with Duma members.
Right.
We went to MGIMO and met with other political leaders and had really insightful conversations, deconstructing stereotypes. We also met with our counterparts from different organizations and NGOs here in Russia, and also a lot of cultural experiences. But I think the most important thing has been our interactions with our peers,
right.
Russians, and be able to understand each other and recognize that we share more in common than most people actually think. And so that's something that I'm passionate about, and our organization, CAREEL, we're working hard to be able to provide this opportunity for a lot more young Russians and young Americans.
Brilliant. Looking forward to seeing that all happening. Head of CAREEL, Richard Portwood, thanks so much for coming over and talking to us here on Primetime.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.